Just give me 1 second. Let me just look at. I had something open, and for some reason it closed. So just give me 1 second.
He wants me to talk more about him. All right, so this guy, I mean,
Well,
when he
I'll
came
just
into
give you a little.
Kellerwood, it was just a force to be reckoned with. Profit share
Yeah.
numbers through the roof. Should I keep going?
What's going on? Give me 1 second. I had something here, and for whatever reason, it's not working. Why is that? It's weird. I just had it on. Well, anyway, this is an hour class. Just to give a little background, just like Adonis just mentioned, I'm retired from the police department from the NYPD. I was a detective. I spent almost 25 years doing that. Started with the age of 20. I was undercover for 4 years. I was in the intelligence division after September 11th, like for 10 years. I was trained, I took training in the FBI Academy and also the Secret Service and the Department of Defense. So, I like to think I know a little about background when it comes to being safe. The reason why I started this class, and I do it actually for free, sometimes I get paid here and there because I guess they have to pay me in certain locations. But personally, I got involved with this class because I started realizing the mistakes some of the real estate agents do. And it became almost like a slap in the face. Like one instant, I had one person come up to me and tell me, "Hey, I got a call. I wanted to see a vacant a vacant house. I was a little worried about it. I spoke to someone. They said they're going to call me every 15, 20 minutes to make sure that I'm okay. I get to the location, and I felt safe because when I saw one man, and then all of a sudden I realized he's with another man with him. I felt safe. And I'm like, why? Why would someone feel safe when there's two men? Why would you feel safe when there's one man? And I'm like, like you read in the paper how women are attacked. Men get attacked also. The only difference is that I think that men that do get attacked, if they get assaulted, chances are they won't report it because it's a machismo thing. They don't want to admit that they did something stupid. They stepped into a situation where they couldn't defend themselves. So they'll come in the next morning with a black eye or bruised rib, and they say, "Yeah, I was playing basketball, hockey, or whatever." So I think a lot of crimes do occur within the real estate industry that we'll never hear from. So that's why I started.
Before you continue, if you were trying to share the screen, I got that all fixed for you if you need to do that.
Okay. No, I'm just, for whatever reason, like I said, I had it up before and it's not opening. So I don't know what's going on with my computer now. So I don't know. But regardless, it's only an hour. I mean, the class that I teach is 3 hours, believe it or not. So I'm going to try to condense as much as I can in such a short window and try to teach the things that I think that are important. One of the things I always tell people that are, like when it comes to the police department, most people think our strongest weapon is could be a taser, could be the nightstick, could be your gun, whatever. Your best weapon actually is your mind. Your mind is your weapon. Common sense is something that is given. God gave us common sense and it's free. We all have it. We just choose not to do it. We don't listen to it. Because animals like gazelles, if you ever watch a nature show, I used to watch as a kid all the time with my dad, you see a nature show and you see a gazelle could be right there by the water drinking, and as soon as they feel like there's a predator nearby, they'll freeze. It starts to assess what's going on at the time, and it wonders what's going on. So at that point, they assess: is it going to fly? Is it going to leave, or is it going to stay and fight? Chances are it's going to run. It's going to flee the scene if it's possible. And it's like I always tell people, like horror movies. How many times as a kid you watched a horror movie and you're biting your nails and the hair in the back of your neck is saying, "Hell no, I will never walk in down that. Why are you walking into the house? Why are you walking into the basement, the attic, whatever?" right? And we say that and we're watching a movie, but yet we don't apply the same rules when it comes to ourselves. When we feel like there's something wrong, we still press forward. And why do we press forward? What's the driving force to why we take unnecessary chances as real estate agents? And it comes back to one word, it's greed. Greed is the greed tends to push us to do something that we shouldn't be doing in a normal scenario. And that's what happens. We start thinking about the fact that if I don't show this person this house, he or she's going to go to another agent. So that's the problem with real estate agents, and that's why I believe so many of us do get attacked, get killed, die doing this, simply because of greed. We don't take the necessary precautions. Most victims, when you take a report after the crime is committed, and when taking a police report, 99% of them usually feels like there was something wrong from the very beginning, but decided not to listen to their gut feelings. That gut instinct's telling them there's something wrong here. And the reason why real estate agents are preyed upon when it comes to more than other fields is simply because they know these guys are predators, these guys are hunters, just like they know that our job does not consist of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. They know that we're not in our office. They know we have to meet them outside. That's part of the problem with real estate agents when it comes to us being assaulted and hurt to a point that some of us wind up getting killed. That's one of the problems. Like right now, in Keller Williams, what do we pride ourselves? We pride ourselves. One of the things we pride ourselves in Keller Williams is about our craft, the training that we receive, how to actually interact with people, and we drive this force into us to the point that you could actually say it without even thinking about it, right? Well, a lot of these people do the same. They'll continue calling agents on the phone until they finally get someone that picks up and says, "Yes, I'm willing to meet you at this location." And that's a problem. Think about that. How many of us will actually meet someone for the first time on a location without even knowing them? That again, it's the problem. And I always say that I wish to God this is something that at least at the state level we would change. That it's a requirement for you to meet the first time you meet someone, you have to meet them at the office. If everyone did this, that will make a more safety environment for us. Simply because when you buy a car, you don't ask the car dealership, the person that's actually selling your car, to meet you in front of your house or to meet you at locations to show you a car, right? It's understood that you're gonna go meet that person at a dealership. And it's the same thing. That's what we should be doing too. When the person comes in and you say hi, and I'm just gonna throw out a random name, say hi, Mr. Mrs. Smith, whoever it is that you're meeting. They come into your office. And I'm not used to sitting down. Believe it or not, when I teach this class, I feel more relaxed because I start walking around and I start demonstrating what I'm talking about. But the fact is, say like if I go around and I'm hey, Mr. Smith, hi, how you doing? Hey, okay, this is Adonis. Okay, Adonis, this is Mary. Adonis being Mr. Smith. Hey, this is Mary. This is Silva. You show them the office. You walk them around. And the reason why you're doing that is simply because by doing that, this person is thinking other people already saw how I look. They have a description. And what I'm telling you right now, I don't want anyone thinking this is 100%, 100% safe. By doing this, this person still may not harm you. No, that's not the case. But it maximizes the chance of this person saying this person's not a good idea to attack, simply because too many people already know who I am by the facial description. So by doing that, you're walking this person through the office, you're showing them, hey, this is my broker, so forth, and you go on through that. And the other thing also is that you sit this person down, bring them in the conference room. You sit them down, hey, oh yeah, this is and you go through the whole, this is what you're looking to buy. That's fine, that's great, you get it right. But part of that, what I tend to do is you ask a copy of their driver's license. Get a copy of their driver's license. And when I tell you this, if you go down this path of asking them for their driver's license, you have to do this to all your clients from this day forward. Because the day that you decide to pick and choose who you're going to ask a driver's license for is the day you're leaving yourself liable for a lawsuit. Because the day that he or she feels like you're only asking that individual person for their driver's license, and you don't ask anyone else, and they go after you, they sue you, and you can't show a record that you do this to all your clients, you got a problem. But I tell you this, you get a copy of the driver's license, right? If this person pushes back, why do you need a driver's license? Oh, it's not for me. You got to understand this, and maybe, you know, like the houses that I'm showing you, these people have the right to know who's actually going to their homes. They demand to know who's going to their houses. And if you have a house or an apartment, I'm more than sure you can understand that this is for your benefit. This is for you. So just like you will want somebody that's coming to your house, you want to know who's actually going in there. Is the same reason why they're demanding the same. And if this person decides that they're fighting, they don't want to show you your driver's license, that at that point, then you have to step off. Because why wouldn't a person that's actually looking to buy a house not feel comfortable not giving them your driver's license for security reasons only? Because if they're pre-approved, they had to give their social security and everything else to that person. So what's the difference? You're not asking them for the social security. So once you do that, the best thing to do is that once you get a copy of your driver's license, you leave it on your desk, or you leave it somewhere where your significant, either your partner, co-worker, whatever, they know where to find the information in a drawer, cabinet, and so forth. The reason why is because God forbid something ever happens to you, they know where to look. They know who the last person you were with. And that's the reason why you do what you do. The other thing too is this. I don't believe in driving people. In all the years that I've been in real estate, I've only driven one person once. And the only reason why, because this was an ongoing client that I had for a long time. And she asked me, because she already knows that I don't drive people. She asked me because her car broke down, so she really wanted to see this house. So she was fearful that this house was actually the son. That was the only reason why. But you know how you establish that? It's by, I always make fun of this, but it's like this. When you, as a real estate agent, you're having a relationship with your client, and how you deal with your client and the relationship you have starts from day one. You set up the rules. If I was dating you and I bought you flowers every month on a particular date every month, I already set the tone. And the day that I don't send you the flowers, that's the day that you say you don't love me, right? Things have changed. Well, if you set the tone from the very beginning that he or she's driving, and for them to meet you there, then at that point, they already know. You tell them, I meet you at the location. Because like right now, if you came to the office in Keller Williams, you come in, okay, that's great. I'd like to meet you, Adonis. Adonis, okay, it's nice talking to you on the phone. Let's meet at the office. Adonis, 9 out of 10, came here, went there with a car, right? So after you give after you have your sit down and you speak about the must-haves and everything that you're dealing with, and you made a copy of the driver's license, you introduced them to everyone you could think of, then you tell them, okay, we're going to 56 Smith. I'll meet you there. Let them drive to that location. Because the way I see it is a couple of factors come in that most people don't think about. A, liability reasons. God forbid you get into a car accident and he or she's in your car, he or she's going to sue you. Because remember, you're a private contractor. And if they could turn around and sue you for the accident, they will do so. 2, how many of you guys would pick up a hitchhiker? No one, right? So with that being said, you would never pick up a hitchhiker because it's common sense. You don't know this person. Well, guess what? Just because I had a conversation with you for 2 seconds in the office, I don't know you either. So why would I put a total stranger in my car, drive he or she around, not knowing who they are? How do you know this person's not going to make an allegation that you didn't sexually try to assault them or say something? The point is you minimize all this by having he or she meet you at the location. You get there, you show them the house, you get out, and if you have other locations, I'll meet you out there. And you take control of every location you go to. I personally, when I'm showing a house, I have a back, and again, you wind up saving time because if you go A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, and D, these are the houses you're showing, and you don't have to tell them exactly in what order. You tell them as you're going from one house to another. The reason why it's also good to have an A, B, C, and D because we also work in the winter time. So God forbid you ever get into a car accident, your car goes off the road or whatever. I know Silver, the last showing because of our Axis, right? Keypads. We know that she showed this house. She showed 2 houses. She was supposed to show 3 or 4, whatever. But at least if she has a map, we know the third, she never made it to the third location. So somewhere between the second and the third location, that's where we have to look for her. That's where I deal with that. When it comes to cars, also make sure, and I know it sounds dumb, you have good tires, gas, the whole 9 yards. If your car is running a little ragged, spend a little money if you could afford it because that could actually, you're endangering yourself in the wintertime. But I'm sorry because I'm going off track because I can't actually since I don't have my class in front of me. But the other thing I'm going to tell you is this: as a when you do broker, when you actually do when you're doing a showing, right? When you're doing your open house, that's when we're also vulnerable too. Most agents tend to do broker open houses on their own. And that's where I find that most agents are liable to, could actually get hurt simply for the fact of you're by yourself. You might not have cell service. And the fact is, greed always comes in. I always believe going with another agent. I used to do, when I do open houses, I do it with another agent, and what we'll do is we'll flip-flop. Okay, I'll take the first group of people that come in, you take the second, you take the third, you alternate. You do it to a point that you're not by yourself in these locations. Because again, these are things that the predators, they know you're by yourself because you want all these clients that are walking in for yourself. I remember doing an open house and there were 3 other agents, a total of 4. Why? Because we know the price point. We know that if this house is on the market, we know it's a hot price, or the price that we're selling and everyone's looking to buy. Even with the 4 agents, there were so many people actually going to this house that we didn't have enough agents. They must have been 20 or 30 people just rushing more or less as soon as it started, and we're walking around the house. But if I would have been by myself, there's no way I was going to be able to manage the house by myself. At the same time, it's like, how many times are you in a house and it's like you're on one side and you can't see what's going on the other side of the house. There's like 3,000 square feet, multi-leveled, whatever. The fact is, you don't know who's walking in as you're walking around the house. So by all means, always have other agents with you. How many people in Keller Williams come in are brand new agents? Take them under your wing, train them. It's like when I was a cop and I was a rookie cop and all of a sudden you had a senior guy who you walk the footpost with. And they showed you the area and so forth. That's the same thing you do. Mentor this person. Show them the do's and don'ts of an open house, but at the same time, you're keeping yourself safe. I'm not a big fan. So So that's the reason why I'm not a big fan of doing open houses by myself. I try to avoid that as much as I can. I bring someone in with me. Um, the other thing also is that, when you do an open house, if you know your open house is from like say like from 12 to 3, don't show up at 11:55. Get there at least a half an hour before the time. The reason why I say that is because I don't care if you've been to the house 1,000 times and this is your listing. You give yourself enough time to get there early, to walk around the perimeter to make sure everything's the way you remembered it the last time. That a window's not broken, that the door in the back is not busted in. Because you may walk in not realizing the back of the house, somebody actually knows that the place is vacant. They break into the house, you walk in, and guess what? You have a surprise waiting for you right now. And that's how you also get hurt too. When I was in the intelligence division and we went to the same hotels many times when we had dignitaries from other states, but we always got there early, hours early, because that door that used to be there is not right now that you decide this was your exit plan is no longer there anymore. It's closed for whatever reason may be. So now, if you don't give yourself enough time to do a perimeter search, that's where the problem may lie. Oh, and the other thing too, if anyone has a question, please ask, because but search around the area, make sure everything's fine, make sure everything's clean. The other thing too is always when you walk in, know your surroundings, know a way of getting out of the house. A lot of times we're going to a house, we don't know an exit plan. You don't want to say, okay, I'm going to run into, if God forbid somebody tries to grab me, I'm going to run to the backyard. Well, if the backyard is all fenced in, how are you getting over a 6-foot wall? So know how to get out. And like I said, and before you go into this place, make sure that your phone works. So if you do have to call 911, your phone does work. Because don't assume, because again, there's a lot of places in Stanford and Canaan, you name it, there are despots that you have more chance of calling the cops if you light up a fire in the house than before you get cell service. You see what else I was going to think of. Also, do not park your car, and I know a lot of realtors, they do this. They park their car right pressed against the house. The problem with that is that if somebody parks right next to you, right in front of your car, they'll block you in. And if you ever have to escape because you want to jump into your car, you're never gonna clear your car out of that little space that you have, because they pinned you in intentionally. I tend to park my car in front of the location on the street. I mean, I get it. Some of these driveways are really big, so if it's that long and you have to run track, then make sure that you have enough space that if somebody parks their car and intentionally tries to block you, you can back up and get out of any situation. Let me see what else. Dangerous places to not to go in, because let me just back it up for a second. When I'm showing the house, I like to call it the Vanna White. I personally don't have to walk into a room with you. And again, it's hard to me, and this is what's throwing me off because I'm sitting down, so I can't show you. But what I tend to do is that if I walk in and this is the bedroom, hey, this is the bedroom for you. Hey, door number 1, this is the kitchen. And again, if you go into the bedroom because for whatever reason, because it's big and it has a massive bathroom, let them walk in first. Let them walk towards the bathroom. You can walk into the room a little, but make sure the doorway is behind you. You always want to be close to the door. So God forbid something ever done, you're the one that's doing the beeline. But the fact is, I don't walk in front of people. I let the person walk in front of me at all times. And you go from one room to another to another. The other room that I always tell people not to walk into, and most people know this and don't, attics. If a person wants to see an attic, by all means, go see the attic. I usually tell them just take a couple of steps, put your head in there if you want, because God forbid they walk all the way to the top and then they walk down, they get hurt. Again, that's on you. People think of basements. People think of basements also. Don't go into the basement. There's nothing, there's, they can walk in. If it's a finished basement, let them walk around, let them walk back up. The other place that people don't think about though is the garage. If a garage is attached, there's a doorway, let them open the door, let them look at the garage, let them come back in. Because remember, if you walk into a garage and the doors in the front are closed and they lock the door behind you, you're stuck just like if it was a basement or an attic. So that's why I say don't go into these locations. Listings the listings to me are the same thing. Never assume that because a person calls you to a house and tells you there's a listing, that it's their house. Because remember one thing, how many times that you'll get a listing and the person that actually owns the house, they could just tell you, hey, the person that, yeah, this is my mother's house, this is my aunt's house, this is my uncle's house, so forth, whatever. So you go into, they know it's vacant, you come in, and all of a sudden they're greeting you on the door, but what you don't realize is that they came into the back door, which they just broke in. That's been broken. So again, that's why I say anytime you do a listing, anytime you do an open house, always walk around the perimeter to make sure that everything looks clean. Because if it looks like someone broke in, there's a possibility that this person may not even be the person that owns the house. Because I had a realtor, she called me and she says, hey, Jeff, because she took one of my 3-hour classes and she actually came up and she says, she called me on a Saturday. Hey, Jeff, I'm with a client and I just saw the front door open, right? I opened the door and now the back looks open. What should I do? And I'm like, why are you calling me? Call the cops. The reason, and the reason why I say, I'm thankful in the way that she thought about calling me over than actually walking in, but that's what they get paid for. If you find yourself in a situation where you come in and that door's unhinged, the window's open or whatever, and you feel like something's wrong, again, listen to your gut feel, then call the police. Let them come. Let them do a check inside, make sure everything is clean. No one's in there, and then show your client the property. Because I tell you this, what's the difference between a house and a house that's occupied? That someone is actually telling you like they actually live there? Nothing. Because when you're showing this house, and you can have all the furniture because the person's living there, it's still vacant in that moment. It's you and that person, no one else. So this idea that you're safer in someone's house, even though someone lives there, over a vacant house is a lie. Because if someone's gonna hurt you, they're gonna hurt you in either way, either case scenario there. So that's where I tell people never let your guard down. Always treat everything like it's vacant. And though we tend to say that we can't, on the MLS, we can't say a house is vacant. 9 out of 10, when people look at a property, they know it's vacant. Why? Because A, they'll show either 1 or 2 pictures, or they'll show you the inside, the interior of the house, and it's all doesn't have furniture. So you know it's vacant anyway. So, and the person that's calling you knows that too. Never assume the person that calls you doesn't know who you are. Because the biggest problem that I see that we have as realtors, we put too much information about ourselves on our webpage. I've seen pictures of people, websites, where people give a listing of who they give a description of who they are, they put their family, they say I play volleyball, I ride horses, I do this, I do that. They want to say they want to make it seem like they're part of that community that they're trying to sell you, right? To the point that it's almost to the borderline of all they left out was I like taking long walks, drinking wine in the moonlight with my husband or whatever, or vice versa. Too much information. People have this perception that we're all filthy rich because we're real estate agents. We drive fancy cars, we have a fancy watch. We'll put all our listings of what we have, So people automatically say, hey, Silva, you know, Silva's a capper. She makes all this money. And guess what? You're putting yourself out there when you have all, because I've seen in some of the websites where you see the guys that have a hell of a list of all the houses they sold. And to me, that translates to a person that actually has money, that makes money. So there's nothing saying that this person, after they read this, all they're saying, well, you know what, she's attractive, this person makes money, and now they singled you out, and you're the person that they want to, you're the next victim. So never assume just because they called you and you think it's a random call, that it is really that random. You might have been picked. And that's, and you know, and again, that's why I can't emphasize more why it's so important that whatever you do, have this person meet you. Have this person meet you at the office first. Because if I turned around and say, hey, Adonis, how's everything? Hey, what's going on? And you say, hey, I'm doing okay. Well, look, sorry I'm calling you, but this is what's going on. I came from New York City. I was supposed to meet, I was supposed to meet another agent from Agent X from this company, and I've been here half an hour, and all of a sudden they never showed up. Whatever, I don't know what's going on. Would you mind coming by the house? I'm over here waiting. I have another 45 minutes before I have to drive back. Most agents at that point would say, okay, not a problem, I'll meet you. Why? Because agreed. They'll say, if I don't do it, they're just going to call someone else. And again, yes, go ahead, Mary.
I'm sorry, I have a question and I had forgotten it before. How are you? It's good to see you.
That's right.
Jeff, at these times when you're being contacted by people that you've never met, and we can't go into the office and meet them.
Right.
So, you know, it's hard because you have to go meet them at the property.
So what would you do is, what I tell people, if it's one of those scenarios that you can't meet at the office, then go to Starbucks. Go to Starbucks, go to maybe like McDonald's, but I say Starbucks, the reason why, because most Starbucks, what they have is security footage, right? They have Wi-Fi. You meet the person, they have a cup of coffee. Hi, Mary, how's everything? Nice to meet you. Yeah, oh, so this is, we're meeting here. I take out my pad. What are your most haves? What you need? Have you been pre-approved? You go through the whole thing, right? Oh, yeah. By the way, also, at the same time, could I have a copy of your driver's license? I mean, could I have your driver's license? I like to make a copy. I like to send it to my broker. He or she likes to know who I'm going out with. And more importantly, the person that is actually showing you the houses, they need to know who's going in there also. I'm only sure you could understand that, because if this was your house, you would want the person, you would like to know the person that's actually going to your house too. I think you could agree with that. See, you put it towards that it's not about you asking, it's about everyone else asking. But, and again, is that this, because you're in Starbucks, you're 100% safe, but it's better than meeting this person for the first time. Why? Because other people are there. There's also video. So God forbid something ever happens, I'm hoping that it's captured on video. Go ahead, Silva.
I do all my buyers consultations now, and sellers consultations on Zoom. And right. I have them sign everything before I go out. I don't skip this step.
But let me ask you this, when you get that, do you share that information with anyone? Is there, if God forbid something was to happen to you, how would I know who you went out with?
Well, I met them online. Okay, I see them.
Right.
They give me their address because we need to sign paperwork.
Right.
They give me their address. And I already have had like 2 hours conversation with them before I go out to look at houses.
I understand, but the question I have is, say like you met me, I signed all the paperwork, right? For the first time,
if I absolutely don't know you, I ask for your driver's license, and as a matter of fact, I say that this is company policy and it is for safety. I do it.
So the thing is this: two things. The question I'm asking is, if you went out with me today, How would anyone know that you went out with me today? Like, do you have a system where God forbid something happened to you, will you know how would I know? I mean, how would the police know that you went out with Jeff Stella today to show my house? See, that's what I'm talking about. Create a system that God forbid, because again, in these times, and like again, I apologize because I don't have any, like I don't have it with me. But even I made paperwork, a bogus paperwork when it came to a mortgage, right? And I was pre-approved, and I made a letter, and it looks like a pre-approved letter. I'll send it to you, and you'll say, hey, this is from whatever bank of whatever, right? And I'll give you my information, a copy of my driver's. You don't even know if any of it that's real. Anyone could make anything at this point. See, so the thing is, the only thing that's real that you know for sure 100%, believe it or not, is that photo. Even if it's a fake name, say like my name is Jose Sanchez, John Smith, you name it, whatever, the photo is real. So the fact is to create a system that whoever you're working with, either a co-worker, your significant other, whatever, they know that you have a filing system. Believe it or not, like when I had my desk, I had a filing system. My filing system was green, yellow, and red. Red was the people that I just met. Yellow was I'm working and we have an offer. Green was more or less we're having a closing date or whatever. But the latest person, the last person I'm seeing is the person that's closest to as soon as you open the drawer. That's the client I'm dealing with. So to create something that God forbid something ever happens to you, people know this is the person, this is the client that you was with at this date and time. Because I'm gonna use Beverly Carter. In 2014, she was killed. She did all the steps that she wanted to do. She got to the point that she felt she didn't feel comfortable with this client, and she told her husband that she didn't want to go out with this person again, right? So the person that actually killed her, Aaron, actually, I guess he started sensing the fact that maybe she didn't want to take him out anymore. So he says, look, don't worry, my wife is coming. She really likes this house. My wife is coming. I believe he puts her on the phone. She starts to talk to her, and he goes, yeah, so all three of us gonna meet. They met, they wind up killing her. But the fact is, and this is what I'm saying, that there are predators out there, they know the scripts, they know what drives us, they know what pushes over the edge. And it comes down to, again, I hate to say this, and I say this not to be mean, but it's greed. Her gut feeling was yelling at her, telling her not to do it, but she felt safer because she was going, because this so-called person actually said his wife is coming. Maybe if she would have brought someone else with her, her husband or whatever, maybe things would have been different. We'll never know. But the other thing also is this. Many of us go on and show people houses on the weekends, and we don't tell anyone else who we're meeting, where we're going. And to me, that's a problem also. And that's what I'm saying, that even silver, say like, for example, you're going to take me out on a Sunday and you're going out, then maybe talk to your son, talk to whoever and say, this is who I'm going out with. The information is on top of the desk by my computer. This is where I'm going. And like I say, I map out A, B, C, and D. This is the location I'm going. So again, even when you do the lockbox and I go to 2 or 3 locations, the fact that I never made it to number D, they know that from C to D something happened. This is what I'm talking about. Everything has to be a structure. Once you have some sort of structure in place, it's that much. It just keeps you safer. Also, the other thing I used to tell people is do a link. Say like Silva, Mary, Adonis, Jennifer, Alice, all of us are doing open houses on Sunday. Why can't the 5 of us keep in check a link that we check among ourselves? Okay, Adonis, I'm gonna call you at every hour. When I call you, as soon as I call Adonis, you're gonna call Mary right after the conversation. Mary, you're gonna call Silver, and you link it Or you could do it like we're gonna call at 3 o'clock when all of us are ending our closing. At 3 o'clock, we're gonna close, and we're gonna call each other at 3 o'clock. If you start calling, and I start calling Mary doesn't pick up, or Adonis doesn't pick up at 3 o'clock, and I called him 10 minutes or 15, she's still, or he's not calling, maybe there's a problem. But then you hold each other accountable, because if you don't call back, then you're gonna have to make a decision. Either you're gonna drive over there or you're gonna call the cops. But it's gotta be a system that you guys have to swear by, that this is about keeping each other safe, keeping a link together that everyone knows. So if we do this, we could do this among ourselves. We police ourselves. We're keeping ourselves safe. And again, the system, whatever system you guys decide to do, it's got to be a system used all the time. Because I tell you this, your significant other should know where you're going. And you should make it a habit when you do your closing. I mean, once you do your open house, if you don't do this link that I'm talking about, that you always call this person religiously after your closing. I mean, after your open house. I keep saying closing. I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we're going to do a lot of closing this month. But the fact is, after you do your open house, then you call them religiously, because you know what's going to happen? And a half an hour later, or whatever, you can't get a hold of this person. A couple of hours later, he or she's going to call the cops saying, look, I'm worried because this person hasn't called me or whatever. And the first thing they're going to say is, they're going to ask, does he or she always call you? Do they always do this? Oh, sometimes she forgets. Then that's when you're going to start saying, well, maybe this person's hanging out. But if you religiously call them all the time, and they could say, hey, Adonis calls me every time he does it. And this time hasn't called. I've been calling him for an hour, 2 hours, and hasn't called. Chances are they're going to swing by, and they're going to send someone over to make sure that Adonis is okay. But it has to, and again, all these things only work if there's a system. I don't know. Well, is there anything else you guys can think? I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. The other thing people always ask too is about firearms. People always ask me, should I get a gun? And I always tell people that's a judgment call. The thing with firearms is not television. You ever pull that trigger, the fact is that's something you're gonna live with for the rest of your life. You get into a shooting, trust me, these cops, they gotta come over here, they gotta question you, you're gonna go to the station house, you're gonna have to get an attorney. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a cost. The same thing also is this. You also have to be, you can't buy a firearm today, keep it in your closet, and then all of a sudden 5 years from now you're still a real estate agent and decide, well, hold on, I'm gonna use this as, and you're holding the firearm like this with your two fingers because you're scared to life about it. If you're not gonna take it out to the range, you're not gonna practice, you're not gonna clean it, you're not gonna respect it. It's a weapon, you gotta respect it. If you're not gonna do any of that, then I would not get a firearm whatsoever. The other thing also is, people always talk about fighting. Look, I spent 25 years and I hated to fight with anyone. My idea is always try to talk to the person, try to talk your way out of it, and so forth. So always try to think of the best case scenario of, if you have to fight someone, fight, of course. But if there's a chance of running, by all means run. Run out that door. And it doesn't mean that you're a coward, but the fact is, even if you're at the top of your game in fighting and you go into a gym or whatever you do, it's only a 50-50 shot you're going to win. The odds start to drop even more when there's a weapon, when there's age, when there's everything you can think about it. So, and if you feel nervous, believe it or not, when I was in the intelligence division, and there were things I couldn't say because I was sworn to keep, and you couldn't say over a phone or whatever because you never know who's listening. If there was ever a threat in the city itself. And I felt like it was a threat that it was credible, and God forbid something happens in the city and my family get hurt. I had a code word. My code word was, how about those Mets? So basically, when I say, how about the Mets, we didn't have a conversation at that point. At that point, you already knew was pack your bag and leave. Drive, do whatever you got to do. It doesn't make a difference if it was a nuclear device, whatever. You knew that that was me telling you it was time for you to go, right? The same thing with this. If you ever get in a situation and I'm talking to you and the person's in front of me and I don't feel right, then have a code word. Like if you don't have a dog, I call, hey, Silva, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Oh, excuse me, sir, you mind for 1 second? Let me just talk to I'm talking to my wife for a second. Can you give me a second? Right? Even though you know something's wrong, what you have to do is, hey, Silver, make sure you get the dog food. Silver knows already we don't have a dog. But that was me telling Silver at that point, something's not right here. And then at that point, Silver Prime, it's her time basically to call the cops and tell them to come over here. Because if this he or she is looking to do something to you, and they see you dial 911, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna wind up grabbing you. They're not gonna let you finish that phone call. But then if I turn around and say, hold on, excuse me for 1 second. I'm talking to my wife. I just realized I forgot the dog food or whatever. And even if you start stepping out the house, the reception's not that good. I'm just gonna call, okay, yeah, about the dog food. And you walk out the door, you didn't raise this person to believe that there's something wrong here. They don't know. You caught them off guard because they really think they're so smart that they don't even know what's going on. Because I'm telling you, it happens. I had someone from Keller Williams actually told me she took the class with one of the classes they taught, and I told her about not going to the basement and everything and all that. And she told me that a guy walked in. It was like 5 to 10 minutes right before she was about to end the open house. The guy went through the whole house and decided to go to the basement. And the one thing she remembered from the class is that I told her not to go into the basement. So she's yelling at the guy. She goes, hey, open house is going to end right now. I got to close up. Would you come upstairs? And the person still wouldn't come up with an answer. She came out. She goes, look, I'm just going to close the door. I'm going to call the cops because I got to leave. It's 3 o'clock. I have to go. As soon as she went to the door, she was about to close. The guy came running out past her and told her as he was walking out, you're one of the smart ones. This is what I'm talking about. There are people out there that all they do is prey on the fact that they know that this is not a 9 to 5. On the winter time, by 4 o'clock, it's already dark. Hence the reason why I also say, get there early. Get there early, because it's happened to me that I went to a house, spoke with the agent, told me, yeah, not a problem. You can see the house is a nice looking house, so forth, whatever. It was the winter time. Got there around 4:30. It was pitch black already in the winter. Get there, guess what's not going on? The electricity. So all of a sudden, it's like I got upset because I called the realtor. I'm like, at what point did you didn't think it was important enough to tell me that there was no electricity in this house? What was I supposed to do? Show this person with a flashlight? See, because that's the other thing too. What a lot of real estate agents don't realize. You go there with a flashlight. You go into an apartment. I mean, you go into a showing, and there is a criminal in there, stealing pipes, living there, waiting for someone, whatever the situation is. That person that your client gets hurt. Guess who they're suing? They're not suing the homeowner. They're going to sue you. Because the fact is, the reason why they got access to that location is because you gave them access. You're supposed to be the expert. You should have known better. Going back to Beverly Carter, the realtor that was killed, her family sued the brokerage that she worked in. It was tossed out eventually because they say the statute of limitation passed. But who's to say that because of that it wouldn't have happened? But that still doesn't. If someone was willing to sue the company Just imagine how fast they're willing to sue you if they feel like you're at fault because of a car accident, because you let them in, because they fell into, they walked into a location where it's dark and all of a sudden they trip on something. Just, it's just, and that's why I keep saying, always know your surroundings. If you go to, and again, and I apologize for not teaching the class, because like I said, the biggest thing that I have here is that the class that I teach is really 3 hours. So this is an hour, so I'm trying to condense everything I can. But even when you walk into a house, know your rooms. Know if could you actually climb out of a window if you have to get on the roof landing. Worst case scenario, you find yourself like you're on the second floor and you can't, and there's no way of getting out. Try running to the bathroom. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Most bathroom doors have locks. Even if you put your body behind that door and you lean on it, the fact is, it gives you some time to actually call 911. Call 911, you call the cops and you tell them the situation. But again, the most important thing, and I said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it, when you get to the location and you're going to go in, give yourself at least 30 minutes. Breathe. Make sure you're not distracted. Have your cell phone off. Look to see if something looks odd. At the same time, make sure your phone works. When you walk into the house, see that your phone works. Because a lot of times we rely on the phone, and the phone is the one thing that is not always working. And you need to know that. And I know I sound a little paranoid, but I always tell people too, as you're driving away from the location, look in your mirror. Make sure no one's following you. Because again, you never know. People always think that we're making millions of dollars, but they don't realize how much we pay our broker, how much money that we actually. No, because you know why? Because what hurts us the most is television. I mean, let's be honest. I'm making a joke about it, but most of the times that when you look at these TV realtor shows, millionaire shows, the guys are dressed. We have a party. We have a drinks. We invite all these people, and we just sold this $3 million home, and this is my commission check. And that's what people see. And that's what people always say. And that's why if you're gonna look to hurt someone, rip someone off, who do you think you're gonna go after? You're gonna go after the realtor that has the nice fancy watch, cars, ring. One other thing before we go, women. I'm gonna say this again, women. Don't walk with these giant bags. Don't walk with these giant bags. If you have to have your purse with you, because some of the women that I've seen, they walk around with designer bags. They walk around with bags that are these purses. They look like luggages. The fact is, keep it in your trunk. There is no reason why to keep it on a counter, because you're going to walk away from your bag. Right? There's all your belongings and everything. So just keep it in your trunk. When you get to the location, get there, do what you have to do. The most thing you should have is your phone. So I don't know if you have any questions or anything, but I can tell you the most important thing is, like everything, is common sense. That's what's gonna save you. If you feel something wrong, don't let someone make you feel bad for listening to your gut feelings, because they're gonna use that against you. So.
Thank you, Jeff.
Not a problem. I mean, like I said, I like to do this better. Like once with this COVID thing, and actually show you some slides and really go through the whole class, and because I really do honestly like to press the idea that most people that do get hurt in real estate is because they're not thinking about themselves. They're putting the dollar signs in front of them, and that's what drives most of us. And again, I'm gonna use this as an example. One thing I'm gonna say is, one woman called me once, And she gave me the story about how she was here for a month and she just got offered a job. And she wanted me to meet her for the first time out there. And I told her, well, that's great. Then I'm going to, and congratulations and everything. Oh, but I'm leaving today and this is my flight. I'm like, okay, if you want, give me your email address. By the time you land in Germany, you got to come back, right? Because you're packing up. I'll send you all the listings there are. But she was adamant for me to meet her at this location. And she wanted me to show her around. And again, my philosophy is your emergency is not my emergency. If you were here for a month and there was a possibility that you were going to get a job, then you should have been talking to a mortgage company. You should have already had an agent showing you around, but you're not going to tell me that it's an emergency that you need me to show you a house. Because never think, because a woman's calling you, that she cannot be setting you up to actually have somebody waiting for you over there too. So. And one other thing also, with everything with COVID, the final thing that's going on with COVID, people wear your mask. I've been on to a couple of showings already, and like I was showing my clients, and all of a sudden, people walking around without masks. So have a mask, have your wipies, like your little Clorox, whatever you're having, your little pump, whatever you're doing. The fact is, do it. Because gloves, I'm not a big fan of gloves. I'm going to tell you why. Because most people don't know how to use gloves. If you're going to wear your gloves and you're going to tell me you're going to go back into your car after coming, you're contaminating your car. So if you're going to have gloves, then have a box of gloves. So every time you use it, because remember, I was a cop, so every time I dealt with people and I put on gloves, as soon as I finished doing it, I took off my gloves, wiped my wrists and everything with alcohol, went to the next person, went to the next house, went to whatever. But most people are wearing the same gloves the whole day, contaminating their car and everything else, contaminating their house. It's the same thing with the mask. If you're wearing the same mask, the cloth, everyone says the cloth, which side are you using? Because if you're flipping it in and out, guess what? You're breathing in what you're trying to keep on anyway. That's why even my cloth mask I have are color different. One side's green, the other one's. So if you're using the green side, always know the green should be facing outward. But if you're gonna flip it around and you're gonna put the same green side into your mouth now, you just breathe in what you were trying to have keep out. So just be safe out there. Do what you have to do, and my number is. I'll give you my number. If there's any questions, anything you ever want to reach out to me, by all means do. 203-978. I'm sorry. 978-3032. 203-978-3032. And again, if there's anything that comes up, anything that feels odd, a client's calling you, you're not sure about something, whatever, by all means, call me. Another thing that to keep you safe too, have a mortgage. If you have mortgage people, a company, whatever, have that he or she call the mortgage company before you meet them also. That's just another layer, because they're going to run their credit. They're going to run the Social Security. So if their Social Security doesn't come back to the same person, you have a problem also. So.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jeff, I want to say thank you. I really think it's great information coming from a former police officer. And I really think, and I wish more people had been on this call, because there are a lot of agents who do open houses, and I personally don't do them because of these reasons, but that's another story. But I really wish there had been more people on this call, because you've offered some really great, mindful information. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Like I said, I hope we could do this, again. I do it with a lot of the new agents, and I do it in some, like I teach a 3-hour class in community colleges. They have real estate courses. I go to them, and so I'll do a 3-hour presentation about firearms and everything else. But Adonis, anytime you want to set this up, just let me know. We'll do it again. And we'll just continue, because I think a lot of it, like Rick always says, and I love Rick, he always says, you got to do this, tap people, because eventually if you do it, if you say it enough times, it actually sinks in. That's
Mhm.
what has to be there. So, thank you.
Much appreciated, Jeff. You're a superstar. We're lucky to have you in our organization, and it's cool that we'll be able to do this kind of thing again, because this conversation is not going away. We need it, and any new information you get, please feel free to pass it on this way.
Yeah, I mean, the information I still get, like always, is that I'm still hearing about real estate agents getting assaulted. You know, it's happening. And one of the things is that we don't get updates on this. I don't know if it's done by design or it's just that it's not something that's advertised all the time, because maybe people will be fearful of not doing this type of job. But
Mhm.
I think more of it does happen, and it's not reported either. So
All right.
take care, guys. Thank you.
All right.
And Silva, you look marvelous.
Oh, thank you.
Just marvelous.
You look marvelous. Take care, guys. Be safe.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.